Joel, why don't we let you kick it off with what is content architecture? What does that really mean? Because a lot of people get confused when we bring that term
Sure.
forward.
Thanks, John. Yeah, and
Yeah,
you and I have talked about this at length. And what we like to do is it's a big topic. Let's break it down into some smaller, sort of more bite-sized chunks. The first chunk I like to talk about is I call it infrastructure, which isn't infrastructure like cities and bridges. It's the organizational structure that you need to have in order to support the kinds of content architecture that you want to create. And one of those main things is the content models that are part of that structure. So we'll dig into what that means as well. I'm going to expand on each one of these points. And then,
yeah. One other I'll add here is that content architecture became way more important during the headless space, because the headless space really focused on models versus just throwing content into CMSs or other platforms. So this is why content architecture is becoming more and more
yeah,
important.
actually framing this conversation of content architecture within sort of the headless API driven space is really important to kind of understand. So that's definitely where we're coming at this from. So, what are the models? What are the parts of that? And then what is the external content, or I could even say external data that's going to be part of this? And let's look at some different ways that we can, bring external things into our content architecture. And then a really, really big one that I guess could even be first on this list is the editing experience. What is it like for people to actually work with this content from an editor approver point of view? That's super important. And it goes hand in hand with workflow. How does your content flow through the system? And thinking about the people that are working with that is really, really important. And then last but not least is the integrations that we want to have as part of our content architecture. What are the other pieces of the system that we want to bring this all in together with? And what's the life cycle of our data within this sort of our content within a larger data flow kind of structure? It could be simple and it could be more complex.